Today we're going to make braciole with some Sunday gravy. I don't know whether it's pronounced braciole or not. That's just how I pronounce it. I've heard an Italian lady say it that way, so that's how I say it. By the look of the spelling on your screen and on the title of the video, you can make your own guess. Sunday gravy is not gravy. It's like spaghetti sauce. It's a tomato sauce in which you would throw in many different kinds of meat that you would want. There's no particular style of meat that you have to throw in. You throw in whatever cuttings of meat that you want. And you cook it over a long time. Usually the tradition says that you would have to cook it on Sunday. It happens to be Sunday that I'm cooking this. And I'm going to be cooking braciole as well. I'm going to be throwing various pieces of meat in this the sauce. And I'm going to be cooking the braciole in the sauce as well. I hope you enjoy. Here we have some thin cut sirloins. You know, it's a lot easier to buy them like this. I actually had bought some, cut them in half, and flattened them all myself. These, a lot easier to buy them like this. See, there's a piece of saran wrap on the bottom.
Yeah.
And there's a piece of saran wrap on top. I don't have a cutting board, so this is how I do it. Very small counter space. Now give me the hammer, Chaz. Say hello.
Hello.
All right.
Hello again.
Now, you pretty much hit it not too hard, but hard enough to penetrate the meat. Kind of a bunch of times. Use the flat side.
Make it flat.
Thing is, you don't want to put holes in the meat. See? And I'm going to do this to all of the rest of the cuts of meat in here, which is only a few more, and then I'll get back to you.
Hello. Hi.
Okay, I have all of that flattened out, big old pile of meats.
We have sticks.
Toothpicks, pepperonis,
Garlic.
chopped parsley, and provolone, and prosciutto. I'm not a big fan of prosciutto, but the recipe calls for this. I may as well try to have at least some authenticity. Pepperonis is not authentic, but I'm an American, so I will bastardize the recipe as I see fit. Now, some of these are bigger. Some are smaller.
Yeah.
Pretty much what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to find a bigger one. There's a big one. I'm going to try to find a big one so I can, yeah, it's big enough. Now, pretty much, I will get a slice of prosciutto. I call this stink meats.
Stick meats?
Yeah. Level it on there flat.
They're free.
Let's get the rest of this here.
They're right here and they're free.
All right, stop counting the toothpicks, Chaz. All right, kind of flatten that on there. And get a couple of pieces of this provolone. Oh yeah, let's stick that. Let's pass that for now. With some parsley on here.
Sticks.
A little less. See? Get some parsley watching, Chaz?
Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to put some garlic on here. Spread it around a little bit. Don't know if this kind of garlic is necessarily called for this, but I want to put it on here.
Yeah.
All right, spread it around a little. See?
Yeah.
You got the chopped parsley. I'll rinse my hands off. Okay. And let's put this provolone back on here. Fold it over so it doesn't leak out the sides. See? Sorry, I'm holding a phone with one hand, so this is very difficult doing simple tasks. And I'm going to put that right here. I am an American, so I will change this recipe as I see fit by throwing in pepperoni. Just be glad it's pepperonis and not something that's non-Italian. And then we will roll this up and put a toothpick in there, and I have only one hand available, so I will pause this and show you the finished result. This is the final result. Some of them are bigger because, you know, I was wondering what Texas would think about my dainty little rolls up here, and I felt ashamed to be American, so I made some big ones, you know, because Texas. And if you have one that's kind of like has a hole in it, or maybe it's misshapen, then just put so many toothpicks in there It looks like somebody is engaged in weird arts that you should probably run away from. Don't be afraid to put more toothpicks if it's misshapen or if you need to. The whole point is to have rolls. And next we are going to fry these on the frying pan to give a good sear on it. I'm using rotoni. I'm not going to show you how to boil pasta. If you don't know how to boil pasta, you should watch another video. But the amount of salt that you put in the water is, well, the old saying is like the sea, meaning you want it to taste like the seawater. A lot of salt. A lot of salt. Now, it is a lot easier to put the garlic on the meat itself and then the parsley. It's a lot easier to do it that way. You smear it on the plain meat, then you put it on the parsley, then the rest of your toppings. Now remember, like the sea. Hello.
Hello.
All right. I like to store my pasta in olive oil with granulated garlic and Italian herbs for however long I need them. I like to take whole peeled tomatoes and I like to cut them into larger chunks. Sort of maybe like that. Or this is kind of big, maybe cut that in half. I don't like to cut them too small. I mean, I do have a can of diced tomatoes in there already. This, for example, is not so big. You cut that in half. You get the idea. I'm going to cut all of these into somewhat large chunks, just not whole like this. You know, they don't have to be perfect. As long as no piece is too big, then that's good. This is going to cook for a long time. And the sauce you would use is whatever you want. I personally use Hunt's Traditional because it allows me to add herbs and flavor however I wish. It pretty much has all of the herbs and seasonings that I would like to put in there as a base. But it doesn't have too much of the flavor. So I'm able to add more as I see fit without overpowering it with any particular kind of herb. And that's a rather large pot. All right, this is my big pile of tasty meats. There's toothpicks in there, and you don't take them out until after you take them out of the sauce. You gotta kind of get them out of the way so they can fry. It's all right, kid. Don't be afraid. I turned the heat down so it wouldn't pop so much. You're going to fry them on all sides, all the way around. See? Come here, kid. Never be afraid of your food, or your food will eat you. I'm just kidding. See, all you're doing is getting it brown. Oh, this smells so good. It smells like garlic. All you're doing is getting it brown, and that's it. You're not cooking it all the way, because the sauce is going to cook it. And we'll get to that in a minute. Look at that. As I said, the toothpicks will be taken out after it is done in the sauce. And I need 2 hands to get this out. And I'll show you the finished result after all this is done.
Hello.
Hi, Chaz. We're going to add see, this on the left is all the trimmings from the sirloin, but the ones that were too small, or the big ones I cut in half. There's fat trimmings, and there's also a lot of really good beef here. And this is pork chops that I was thinking about making into braciole, but I have 12 of them here. And when this is all done, we're going to pull all 12 of them out and de-toothpicklefy it. I'm also going to take Chaz's little fingers, and I'm going to put them in the sauce. Come on, let me take a finger. Come on, let me add some fingers. I'm going to get a finger. Oh, he's fighting too much. I guess I won't add his little fingers in there. But I will add all of this, and I will add all of this. And it's not too hot, so I don't have to worry about splash burning me, at least. See? Bam. And I'm going to do this next, but right now we're going to mix it around a little bit. This is not too hot. See, it's starting to steam up. It's not bubbling. As soon as it starts boiling, I'm going to turn it on very low, and I am going to let it simmer for 2 hours. Yeah,
Like
2 hours on low. And then after about 1 hour, I'm going to stir it, and I'll show you what it looks like after about an hour. Let's throw these really delicious smelling things that are still kind of raw. Ooh. See, that's why the sauce was so low. See how high it is now? Yeah. It was actually about halfway, maybe a little more than halfway. Now look at it. It's full, isn't it? That's why we didn't add so much sauce. Oh, when I seasoned the sauce with a little garlic powder, onion, granulated garlic, granulated onion, and some Italian herbs, and salt. That's one reason I use Hunt's, is because it's a very base spaghetti sauce, and you don't have to worry too much about ruining your flavors. You can add whatever you want. And this is going to cook for 2 hours. After about 1 hour,
Like 1, 2.
see, 338, I'm going to show you what it looks like, and we're going to stir it after about an hour. This is the progress after about 1 hour of simmering. I am going to cook it probably for an extra hour. So I'm going to cook it probably for 3 or even 3.5 hours. I want this is about here. I want this to be about there before I cook it. I want it to be a little thicker. But it's been bubbling for about an hour. It is a little lower, but not much. So I'm going to cook that for probably an extra hour. This is the final result of the braciole after I have removed the toothpicks. And as I said, some of them are smaller and some of them are bigger. The process of cooking them is going to reduce the size significantly. I am also working with the cuts of meat that I have available, which is mostly sirloin and some thin cut sirloin. The bigger ones, the Texas pieces, are some of the sirloin that I had cut in half myself. If you want bigger braciole, you can buy some flank steaks or some larger cuts of meat as you see fit and flatten them and make them even bigger. I had made, from a hammer, you flatten them from a hammer. But as you can see here, this is what I am eating. I am eating it on top of some pasta with some Parmesan and Romano and Asaggio cheese and some rotoni. And we are going to enjoy ourselves. Now, what I did is after about 3 hours, I had turned the sauce off. I had separated all 12 of the braciole. I'm sorry I didn't show you this process, but I have only one hand on a phone, so I had to do it off camera. And I had let all 12 of them cool down, and I had carefully removed all of the toothpicks. Now, when you remove the toothpicks, remember that the meat will be falling apart, like falling off the bone, falling apart. So you will have to, use both of your hands. That's one reason I did it off camera. You'll have to use both of your hands to meticulously remove the toothpicks so that you do not destroy the braciole and have it fall apart into little pieces. Because it will be very, very tender. The prosciutto and the pepperoni that I add in, you can add what you want. If you want to make it authentic, I advise you to use prosciutto and provolone cheese and grated cheese of various kinds. You can use whatever grated cheese you want. I did not add grated cheese because I am going to add that to my pasta when it's done. And parsley. The rest is the pepperoni or whatever you want to add is on you. Many people add hard-boiled eggs. I did not want to do that because the pieces of meat that I was using was actually on the smaller side. So I did not add any hard-boiled eggs. But you can add whatever you want. In the Sunday gravy, it is very common to add various kinds of Italian sausage. I do not have any available right now because of, hoarders that like to hoard meats and buy 700 pounds of meat that they will never use. So I didn't have any available at the store. And I hope you enjoy. This is my American version of braciole and Sunday gravy. Say goodbye, Chaz.
Goodbye.